Hello and welcome to Books and Writers Podcast. If you write books or you love books, this podcast is for you. Today we have episode 3 of Books and Writers. We're going to talk about your author platform. Build your author platform. The days of the writer, the lone wolf up in the mountains, writing in the cabin with the typewriter are long gone. You cannot go out and not communicate with your audience anymore. Your audience expects to know you, to know about you, to interact with you. And this is what we're going to talk about today, but we're going to take it further and we're going to explore a business model called author platforms. And this business model is how to create a following that will make a career out of your writing, because they will support you. They will buy your books time and time again. And that is the definition of an author platform. It is a consumer or a lot of consumers buying all of your products, not just books, but products. Well, number one, what exactly is a author platform? If we simplify it, we would say market once, sell multiple times to the same reader. Let me repeat that. The definition of an author platform is market once, sell multiple times to the same reader. Now, who is this reader? That's the second question you probably are thinking of. Well, we call this reader your alpha consumer. What's an alpha consumer? An alpha consumer is your perfect, more than perfect customer. It is the person that will buy whatever product you have. It is an early adopter, so they will buy everything first. They will recommend you. They will give your book as a gift. They will tell their kids to read your book, recommend it to the teacher. Everything that you do, they will like. Everything that you write, they will like as well. That's your alpha consumer. You can see alpha consumers for consumer packaged goods. You can see alpha consumers for software. You can see alpha consumers for everything. The people that go and stay in line to see a Star Wars movie are alpha consumers. The people who go and camp out to buy the new iPhone, those are alpha consumers. You need your alpha consumers. You need the people that will buy everything that you write. Now, they will not be your alpha consumers if they don't know who you are. They will not just find your book by accident and then become fans of you. And remember, they're not just fans of your work. They are fans of you. Now, let's take an example of what they can do for you. What can an alpha consumer really do for you? Let's take it to numbers. Let's say that we have an author, a fiction author. Let's start with a fiction author. And it can be science fiction, fantasy, romance. But this is a fiction author. And the fiction author has a goal of 20,000 copies in 1 year. For a lot of authors, that will be a very high goal. For a lot of you, it will be a very low goal. But for our example, it's just right. Now, let's say that you make $1 per every book that you sell. Maybe you sell them on Kindle. Maybe you are published and you get a commission. Maybe you are your publisher and you publish on demand and you get $1. Whatever the example, however you want to portray it, you're making $1. Your goal is to sell 20,000 books. So you do your marketing that we'll talk about, of course, and you have your 20,000 sales. But not just sales. You have your 20,000 alpha consumers, first and early adopters, people who like you and your product. So you made your $20,000 the first year, and that was your goal. The second year, you write, or maybe your third year, you write another book. Guess what? You don't have to do a lot of work to market your book now. because you have your alpha consumers. You have your platform already. And your platform will buy your book sometimes even before you publish it. Yes, that's right. They will pre-buy your book. So let's say that you're self-published and you need money for the cover or for whatever, for marketing. They will buy your book, pre-buy your book, and then you can use the money to actually print the book and ship it. Let's say now that you continue to write. You write the second or third year, another novel, another fiction novel, and you sell another 20,000 books. Now, how is that? How will you sell 20,000 books? Very simple. You will send an email, a tweet, a whatever to your alpha consumers, to your network, to your platform, and they will go and they will buy your book. This is why they are your platform. So you have 2 books and you sold 40,000 copies in total, 20,000 of each, making or netting you $40,000. You write a third book, and guess what happens? Now you're up to $60,000 from the same people. The same consumers are buying your book over and over again. I know a light is going out in your head. This is why I see some people writing 12, 13, 14 different books of the same story. Yes, that's exactly why they do it. Because they can sell 10, 15 of the same story. 10, 15 different books of the same story or same characters. Because it's the same people buying over and over again. So they buy or they sell and they write and sell a book a year. Because they know they're going to sell no matter what. So that's why they sell a book a year. Now, with our example, we are saying that you're not going to get any new readers. You're not going to get any new alpha consumers. You're not going to get any other people buying your book, which is not realistic. In reality, maybe you sell 20,000 copies to your alpha consumers, plus another 5,000, 7,000 to other people who are not your alpha consumers. The second year, you'll probably sell more to non-alpha consumers, maybe 10,000, but you'll sell your same 20,000 to your platform. And in the third year, of course, the same. And your platform will probably go year by year. Ideally, it will double every year because you're writing another book. But let's be conservative and say it stays at 20,000 so you can do better numbers. But it doesn't end there. If it ended there, it would be no fun and it would not be very profitable. The beauty of your alpha consumers is that you can sell them more than your book. And this is where a lot of the authors make their mistake because they don't see themselves as a brand. They only see themselves as a book or as an author. That's not how your audience sees you. This is not how your platform sees you. This is not how your alpha consumers see you. They do not see you as just a writer. They do not see you as just a book or just a story. They want to get to know you better. They want to be connected to you. They want to know more about you, and they want to be associated with you and what you stand for, your ideals or the ideas of your characters. If you don't provide that to them, you're letting them down. So it's not just a business opportunity. It's not just you selling them things other than books. It's also helping them. It's also giving them what they want. Let me give you an example. When I saw on HBO the program, the series Game of Thrones, I immediately went and read all of the books. Well, I started with the first one and then I finished all of them. And I became a fan. I became a fan with the first book. And I liked the characters. I became a fan of the characters. My wife became a fan of the characters. And I found out a lot of the people that I work with were fans as well. And I purchased a t-shirt. Actually, I purchased 2 t-shirts for me from Game of Thrones. One of them has the throne. The other one has a wolf. And it says, "Winter is coming." And the other one, I think it says, "When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die." Something like this. And then one of my colleagues saw it, so of course he wanted one, so I gave him one for his birthday. So now I bought 3. And I think I've given probably a total of 5 Game of Thrones t-shirts, a hat, and 2 books. But that's just one book. I'm a fan of a lot of books. And if they come out with merchandising or something that I like, maybe it's about a character, maybe it's a saying of a character, maybe it's something else, I will purchase it for me. I will purchase it for my friends. I would give it as gifts, not just a book, because I always give books to everybody and know they do like me. Especially the kids in my family, we break them in very young, so they read a lot. So we give them books and they love it, not just toys. But that's just one example of one book. But you say, well, Jorge, I don't know if I can do it. My book is not about dragons. It's about something else. It doesn't matter. You can do merchandise. You can do a poster. You can do hats about the logo of your book or the cover of your books. You can do a lot of things. The point is, the people who are in your platform want this. If you cannot do it, if you don't know how to do it, partner with somebody who can do it. Give them your list and let them email to your list, to your platform, and we'll talk about how to build your platform. But I want to tell you why it's so important first. I want to sell you on the idea of having a platform so that you can work at it, so that you can get motivated and always be building platforms. Now, you tell me, Jorge, but I'm not a fiction author. I don't write romance or science fiction or anything like that. I write nonfiction. I write business books, marketing, finance, or something like that. That's fine. If you write business, let's say, your platform works exactly the same way, but each reader, each member of your platform is worth much more than $1, because you are probably selling or doing some sort of business, and you just happen to write a book, or you're writing a book about the business or something in between, or the book positions you as an expert in your industry. The people who buy the book are worth more than just $1 because you can do business with them. Let me give you an example. I wrote a book about beverages. Yes, beverages. How to start a beverage company. A lot of people that read the book, there's not 20,000 that read the book per year. It's much less. But they are very valuable to me because most of them call me on the phone after they read the book. They want to speak with me about the beverage industry. And I've sold a lot of project services, analysis to investors about the beverage industry. So you can see how valuable my platform would be. And over the years, my platform or my platforms, because I have different platforms, not just for beverages, but for books and for writers like yourself. And I have platforms for other interests and hobbies that I have. I have platforms on Mexico. I have platforms on investing. I have platforms on hobbies like travel. So you can build different types of platforms if you write different books as well. But if you're business or nonfiction, your platform is probably even more important and much, much smaller. And you have to constantly reach out to your platform, because if you're going to sell them something bigger than a book, maybe a service that's thousands and thousands of dollars, they need to hear more from you. Not just about a story, but maybe some techniques or tips or tricks or something about the business. That's your nonfiction. So nonfiction, or as an example, business, is very important because you can do a lot with them. Now, how do you build your platform? We already said that it's important. We already said what you can do with it. And we'll use more examples of what else you can sell them. But How can you gather a platform or a following? Well, number one, make sure that you are public, that you're a public person, a public persona, that you're open. Make sure that you are everywhere. You can do it online and you can do it offline. It's much easier to do it online. Personally, I do both. And let's go over some of the techniques for both. If you do it offline, not on the internet, in person, you can go to events. You can go to networking events if you're business, or you can go to writing events, reading events, book clubs, and other events around books. You can visit schools and speak at schools. I speak at some of the local schools in San Diego and even across the border in Mexico. I speak at in the universities in Mexico. I speak in a lot of schools in San Diego, and of course a lot of them go and read my book. And I speak not only about business, but I speak about writing. I tell stories. I love telling stories, so I tell stories to students. I motivate students, and in my speech I always say that I write books. So that's the way that you build platforms. And I tell them you can subscribe to my LinkedIn, to my Facebook, to my Twitter, to my Pinterest, whatever else you have. You mention it to them, to your newsletter, and then they'll go and they'll subscribe to whatever they want. So you're bringing the offline into the online now, but your point of contact is offline. I do some radio where I go to the radio station, so that's offline, and then you tell them to subscribe online to your newsletters or to your social media. That's another way that I do it, and I recommend it. I also do phone calls, conference calls. I used to do it twice a week. Now I do it maybe twice per month, where I do open calls and people call in and ask questions. And I do it with writers. I also do it niche on marketing, branding, and other things as well. I do podcasting like this one, and I used to do 3 podcasts per week before, and I had thousands of listeners on several industries. Now I mostly do podcasts on writing. Let's say that you tell me, Jorge, but I don't want to organize a podcast, and I don't want to organize a trip to schools, and I don't want to organize a conference call or webinar. Well, not a problem. A lot of people organize them and need guests like myself. I need guests to my podcast and calls, and I need interviews. So let them do the work, and then you just participate with them. And then they will give you a plug where they can go to get your book and where they can go to subscribe. And you have to remember, it is very different. Your goal here is very different. Your goal is not just to sell books. Your goal in building your platform is finding your perfect consumer and then capturing their information. Otherwise, they're not in your platform. They're just a casual buyer. When they're in your platform, it means that you can contact them. When you write something, maybe it's a short story, maybe it's not even a book, or maybe you're going to go somewhere, you're going to travel, and you want to meet somebody in your platform, or you're going to do a reading, and the people in your platform will surely go to your reading because that's what they're all about. So you can join other people and let them do the work, and then you can do it also online. And online, it's much easier. It's less work than podcasting and going to interviews and giving speeches. And there's some basics that you need. The basics are very, very simple. Make sure that you have your Twitter account. Make sure that you have at least your LinkedIn and your Facebook. Those are the top 3. You need those no matter what. And then you can add from there your Tumblr, or you can add your YouTube, and you can add your Pinterest, Instagram, and more. For example, in promocave.com, where we do free promotions for authors to build your platform. So if your book is not on Promocave, you should go and upload it, because that's the first step, and it's free, so you can't beat that. We push your information to not 1 or 2 or 5, but to 50 different social media platforms. Yes, 50, and we do it more than once. So we jumpstart your platform in promocave.com. We jumpstart it for you. That's an example. Now, some rules, because you say, well, I have a Twitter and I have this and I have that, and I don't get a lot of action. I don't get a lot of sales. I don't get a lot of people in my network. Do you invite them to your network? And I don't mean just join my network, or do you just spam them? Now, what's the difference, Jorge? Well, it's very simple. If you say buy my book, that's spamming. If you go to Twitter and say buy my book, that's spamming. If you go to LinkedIn and join groups on readers or your particular niche of business, let's say that you write finance and you join the finance groups and you say buy my book, that's spamming. If you contact reading groups or reading clubs and you say buy my book, that's spamming. That's not the way to build a platform. If you, on the other hand, go and you provide value to the groups, to your Twitter, to your LinkedIn, to your Pinterest, everywhere, you provide value or entertain, then they will join your Twitter, your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and everything else. Once they join, you have a way of communicating with you. Now, the best thing to do is for them to join your newsletter, where you have their email and you can email them or even call them on the phone if you want. That's number one. That's what I want. I use all of my social media and everything else to get them to my websites and capture their email, because that's a more direct way. Then I can invite them to my events, my live events, or my virtual live events with their email. Sometimes I capture the phone if the niche is smaller, so I can call them on the phone and invite them. And maybe that's what you want as well. So make sure that you have everything. Make sure that you provide value. If you write business or some other type of nonfiction, provide value. Tell them about how to do things. And then make sure that at the end it says, I'm a writer, here's the link to my book. Or subscribe to my email, to my newsletter to get a free chapter or a free infographic or a free video or a free audio or something. I use that technique. It's called a squeeze technique. I'm writing my second edition of a book right now where I have a lot of infographics. So I tell potential readers, subscribe to my newsletter and get infographics in print quality PDFs. So you can print them and have them in color. So I bribe them, in other words. You can do contests with them. Win a t-shirt, subscribe to my newsletter, and you might win a t-shirt one every week, something like that. I used to do books as well. I don't do it anymore, but that worked when I did it. Free books, one book a week. Just subscribe to the newsletter to participate. If you're fiction, it is much easier and entertaining, because you can do, let's say that you're on Twitter and you can start a conversation as a character. Or you can say, hey, look at what my character did. Or you can start a conversation with another author with your character and their character. I've done that in the past and it's a lot of fun, number one. I did it for fun, not for platform building. But it worked for platform building because we were having so much fun that people started seeing what we were doing and they started subscribing to our Twitter account and following us on Twitter. So you can do something like that. If you're visual, I'm very visual and I like my characters to have a face, and I actually do a bio on my characters, and I have a graphic designer and a painter paint my characters. So I turn them into images, and then you can use your images. For in this example, you can do the same and use the images on Pinterest. You can put a resume or bio or something about them. You can tell little tiny stories about them to get people's juices flowing, or what they did, or they got into some sort of trouble. You hook people. That's the key. It's not buy my book, buy my book. It's telling them what it's about. Maybe you give them a free chapter. The rule of thumb is you have to give them 2 or 3 things and then ask for one. It can be a sale. I personally almost never ask in this in social media for a sale, buy my book. Never. I talk about the characters, or if it's a business book, I talk about the business. I give a lot of value about the business. I do podcasts about the business, articles about everything free. And they just go buy the book. They say, this guy knows what he's talking about, and they go buy the book. With fiction, it's the same. If you provide value in a character or in a plot, they will go and buy the book. Important. Once you start providing value, make sure that your signature has a link. What's your signature? Your signature is where you can put your information. It's everywhere. It's on LinkedIn, it's on Twitter, it's on Facebook, and make sure that has a link. And it can be a link to your book, a link to your website, a link to some place. If you don't have that link, all of this work that you're doing goes down the drain. And I've seen a lot of people do a lot of work, and then when they want to buy the book, I have to essentially Google them or go to Amazon and type the name. That's too difficult. You want people to click. Just click. The rule of thumb in online marketing is one click to get to what you want. If it's more than one click, they're not going to buy. So make sure that you have that information. Now, here's a shocker for you. Amazon will not share who's buying your book. So you're not capturing their information, so they're not part of your platform. So you're better off sending them to your website or your PromoCave website if you don't have a website, and capturing their information there so that you know who they are. And then they can buy your book. Because remember, the value is the person, not just the purchase of your book. It's the person, because they will buy once, twice, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. So make sure that you have all of your links. So make sure that you're everywhere. You're available. Your photo is there. Make sure that your photo is there, because people want to see who you are. Make sure the cover photo is everywhere as well, on all of your accounts, website, everything. Your photo, cover photo. If you have characters, or if you have something that you can show it. An infographic or a world, a map of a world, a la token, or something, show it. The more you show, the better. Make sure that you have your link. If you don't have your link to something, then nobody's going to click it. And make sure that you can capture their information. Now, once you do all of this and you start building your platform, your following, make sure that you have products that you can sell. T-shirts, whatever you have, merchandise, just have it and make sure that you sell them more. Because let's do the numbers again. Let's say that you're making a book, a buck a book. Say that real fast. You're making $1 per book. But then a large percentage of your audience will buy a T-shirt, and maybe you're making $7 or $10 per T-shirt. Maybe you sell it for $16. You pay $4 plus shipping, so you're making, let's say, $10. Imagine that you make $10 or $1. So even if you have 1,000 of the 20,000 that buy something that you make $10, you're making $10,000 versus $20,000 for your book. So you can see how fast you can make a living from your platform. And this is just one product. If you have multiple products, maybe you have a special edition of your book. Maybe you have one with images. Maybe you have one in a hardcover. You know, a lot of people will buy your Kindle, but then they're going to have one that they have on their coffee table or their desk or their car. They can show their friends. They can give it as a gift. And that's another special that I've seen people do with their platform. They offer discounts. Well, they already read the book. It doesn't matter if they already read the book. They will give it to somebody if you offer it as a gift. And maybe it's a signed copy that they can give to somebody, which is great. And then you're selling multiple books to your platform. And again, the shortcut is go to PromoCave, because that's for you. PromoCave.com is where authors build their platform. And that's why we created it. So make sure that you go there and that you follow the rules of filling everything. That you create your profile, you put your picture, your book cover, and it's really a jump starter. You will see, and I want to hear from you after you do it. After you go and put your book and your biography and you link it to your Twitter and everything. Let me know what it does for you. Let me know if you get 1,000 subscribers to your platform. We have people now that are getting 1,000 subscribers a week, and it's free. And if you want more subscribers, create more content. If you don't know where to start in PromoCave, because what you can do there is you can write articles and submit them for free, and we'll market them for you for free. You can submit videos, infographics. If you don't have time, submit a page of your book every week or a chapter every often, and then we'll promote that. And the beauty of that is when people come across it, they will go back to your profile on PromoCave and they will subscribe to your profile.